welcome to the 15th Annual Student Recognition Dinner and Annual Meeting. Literacy Volunteers of Greater Sanford. I'm John Revard. I'll be your MC for tonight. Your normal MC is away, and you're stuck with me. So I'd like to thank Gina and her team from Above and Beyond Catering for hosting tonight's event, Kennebunk Savings for sponsoring tonight's event, and MetroCast and Nate Shaw for videotaping tonight's event. I'd also like to welcome Becky Dyer, who's our guest speaker. She's from the Barbara Bush Foundation for Family Literacy. Just to give you a preview of tonight's activities, I'll be making some comments about the year just passed for the organization. We'll elect our board of directors for the coming year. We'll break for dinner, and then we'll resume the program after dinner and have some dessert later on in the program. Starting out with what we've done for the past in our most recent year. I mean, we continued our core offerings of helping adults that are seeking to improve their literacy skills. We had 3 projects in particular where we focused our efforts. One being the adult residents of the York County Shelter Program. We have a program that works on site with them. Also tutoring women inmates in the Southern Maine Reentry Center in Alfred. And then also our Books and Blockbusters program, which Sean Sullivan kind of heads up, which is sponsored by the Sanford Springvale Rotary Club, and it's a book and movie club. Also last year, in January of this year, we had our annual trivia night, and it was very well attended again with Marcel Bluen being the MC, providing great entertainment for us. But it's also a very important fundraiser for us, and it provides a lot of our funding for the programs throughout the year, and we'd really like to thank the sponsors for that event. SIS Bank, Kennebunk Savings, Sanford Springvale Rotary Club, Sanford Springvale Altrusa, Credo's Studio, and Moody's Collision. Also would like to point out a special thanks to the York County, United Way of York County for their long-standing support of our organization over the years, and acknowledge Laura Klein, who's here. She is the Director of Strategic Impact, a United Way organization. We'd also like to point out some other organizations that have helped us out throughout the year with our funding, the ones we've already mentioned, but we also Sanford Lions, Sanford Rotary Club, Sanford Kiwanis, the City of Sanford itself, Narragansett No. 1 Foundation, Maine Community Foundation, and the Virginia Hodgkin Summers Foundation. Next, we'd like to have someone nominate, throw out a nomination for the Board of Directors for the coming year. Would somebody like to volunteer that? Mr. John Tangway?
It's my pleasure to present the following slate for the Board of Directors and members. Jeffrey Titherington as President, John Revard as Vice President, Ellen Porvalis as Treasurer, Jean Mahoney as Secretary, members Jean Brennan, Claire Credo, Arthur Dumas, Deborah Godin, and Sean Sullivan.
Thank you. You're welcome. Somebody need to cast a vote, is that what it is?
Yes.
Somebody from the, I guess we just need one
Move
person.
the secretary cast a single ballot. Favor the slate.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It must carry. Next, I believe we are going to enjoy dinner. Gina and her team will point out which table is next in the order and keep things going smoothly. So just wait for their instruction and enjoy the dinner. I trust everybody had a great lunch, great dinner. Hopefully you had a great lunch and dinner. I'd like to introduce Ingrid next to continue on with the program.
Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome again to the dinner. It's always good to be here with all of you, tutors and students, volunteers and supporters and community members. We've been offering free one-on-one tutoring by trained volunteers for adults who want to improve their literacy skills for almost 30 years. And tonight, we're here to celebrate how our program helps to open doors for people and help them to go in new directions. Students often tell me how much this program means to them, and recently a student told me, the more I learn, the better I feel about myself, and the more I can do. And tutors tell me, and us, that being part of this process of change and growth, working with one person in a personalized way, has a great deal of meaning for them too. And it's a privilege for me to be part of this process and to seeing this arc of change take place. John Dewey, who was a legendary educator and lived about 100 years ago, said, education is not preparation for life, it's life itself. And we see that in our program with the kinds of goals that students have when they come to us. And those goals include things like preparing to take the GED exam or the US citizenship exam, reading the long pamphlet that comes when you get prescription medication, or reading other kinds of medical and healthcare information, or helping your kids or your grandkids with homework, learning how to do a lot of things on the computer, such as create a resume and submit that for job applications, or learning about history and wildlife and other topics of interest to you. And I want to highlight something about a number of these goals that students have, and that is that they're about nonfiction topics. And this past year, we had a focus on nonfiction resources, thanks to several of our tutors, Carolyn Woodward and Cindy Jack, who are both here tonight, and Camille Welsh, who couldn't be with us, all focused on this. First, they reviewed the books in our library, and they selected the ones that were nonfiction and put them on a shelf dedicated to nonfiction. We also bought a few new books, and some of them are on the table in the fireplace room there if you want to check them out during dessert. But they range from things about wildlife to geography and history. Here's one called Bats Are Thin. Bats are thin, bears are fat. This is a favorite, of course, many of you may know this. It's a wonderful book about the history of Sanford and Springvale, and one of our pairs was just reading this the other day. The photographs alone in here are tremendous historical records. And they have long captions, which is another skill, of course, that comes with nonfiction, is captions and graphs and charts. We have also a new series, Here's Sugar, Our Guilty Pleasure. This was designed for adult new readers, and there are websites affiliated with this, so when you read one of these books, you can also get online and get more materials. So as we've had this focus on nonfiction, it's really brought to the fore how much nonfiction topics are part of everyday life, how relevant they are, from reading the newspaper to understanding things in science or new developments, or again, studying for a test or doing things at work. So it's been wonderful to have that, and certainly we're going to continue that in the years to come. And it also gives our students and tutors a chance to practice the skills of using a table of contents or an index, and all of those affiliated kinds of visual materials that come with nonfiction words. So that's a little bit about the past year, and I'd like to move to the first award of the evening now. And this is for the Student Tutor Pair of the Year. So I'd like to invite student Don Griffin and tutor Cindy Mikesell to come forward. Sure. So let me give this one to each of you, and let me just say a few words about Don and Cindy. They've been working together for,
We were trying to be 6 months maybe.
yeah, at least 6 months. And Don has been very careful and thorough in his preparations and has been studying reading and math. And it's been wonderful to see you making so much progress in both of those subjects, as well as seeing the confidence that you have, the renewed confidence in your skills.
I give a lot of credit.
Well, and Cindy has been very creative and resourceful about finding good materials that really helped further Don's interest and skills. And in fact, you've been reading some of those nonfiction materials that I was mentioning. This is one of the pairs that's been doing it.
Yeah.
So it's really been a pleasure to see them working together and how effectively they work and how capable they are in their tutoring relationships. And most importantly, just to see all the progress you've made, Don. And it's so congratulations to both of you. So our next award is for student achievement. And this is to recognize a very talented student named Bruce Kuchar. So I would like to invite Bruce to come forward with Carolyn Woodward, his tutor.
Bruce has been my reading buddy for almost 2 years. We've been reading and learning together at the good old library on either a Wednesday or Thursday night. So if you're ever in there around 5:30 and you hear laughter, or see two people sitting in the stacks or on the floor or whatever, and you hear laughter and reading aloud, then you're probably listening to us. We've read many genres in these last 2 years. We started with a James Patterson thriller, 500 pages, because he really wanted to read a mystery or something, right?
Yeah.
That took a long time. We renewed that book about 50 times. But we got through it, and it was fun. We've read biographies on Anne Frank and Harriet Tubman, who's to be on our next $20 bill, possible. We've also read a book on the conquering of Mount Everest by Sir Edmund Hillary, which obviously has been in the news a lot. Bruce is being recognized tonight for his courage and achievement and willingness and ability to speak publicly about his literacy. Congratulations, Bruce. It's been terrific working with you, and we're going to plow on next week.
Thank you, same here.
His award says, "This award is proudly presented to Bruce Kuchar in recognition of his great courage and achievement as a student at Literacy Volunteers, including developing his public speaking skills."
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Ingrid for this award. I am very grateful. I would also like to thank Caroline for being my tutor and giving me much of her time for me. I was in the program for years. I came back. I was slipping in my reading. It helped me the first time, so I thought it would help me again. Caroline is a great tutor, and I am improving. So I am very happy that I came back.
I would like to thank Literacy Volunteers because this program helped many of us improve our reading and our math. Please support Literacy Volunteers. Literacy does change life. It's changed mine. And if anybody has trouble with reading, come to Literacy Volunteers. It helps. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Now we have a special announcement next, and it's just going to take a moment for the technology here to get this set up. But something special that Bruce has taken part in recently is what we're just going to present to you. Several months ago, I was contacted by a journalism student at the SALT Institute in Portland who wanted the chance to meet and get to know some adult literacy students. So he went on to interview several tutors and students in our program, as well as in some other programs. And this student has produced a profile of Bruce. And so we are lucky to be able to have access to this. It's actually officially being released tomorrow at the SALT Institute when they have a gallery opening and a show with all of the products and pieces that their students have done. But we've just gotten access to it, and we've just been able to get it set up on our technology here. So if you'll bear with us for a few moments, I think we're going to be able to show it.
Try to fake that you can read. Like if there's too much in it, I get messed up. Like if there's too many people or things that happening too much, I lost it all. I don't want people to know, so I try to hide it.
Bruce is the first person that I'm aware of his lifelong problem with literacy, with reading.
I used to cry a lot because I felt I wasn't as good as other people.
We kind of clicked from day one, as if within a week we're like an old married couple. And then a week later, 2 weeks, he was extremely distraught one night and very, very upset. He didn't want to tell me what the problem was, and I could sense that he was very, very upset. And eventually he just blurted out, "You're going to leave me, you're not going to want to be with me, and why? And he told me, I have a problem reading, and I had a problem in school, and I'm stupid, and I said, what are you talking about? To him, it was a deal breaker. It would have to be in his eyes, because he considered me an intelligent person who was successful, so therefore, why would I want to be with him?
Now it doesn't bother me as much as it did before. If they can accept me, too bad. I'm enjoying reading more, and now when I read, I'm beginning to know the story. A couple of winters ago that I was reading a book. It was storming out and raining, so I just laid in bed and read all day long. And I finished the book, and I can remember it now more and more.
Well, hopefully we can get the issues straightened out and do that maybe after we have dessert. I'd like to move on and introduce our guest speaker. Rebecca Dyer has worked for Barbara Bush Foundation since January 1998 in a variety of roles. She became the Executive Vice President for Programs in January of 2015, just recently. Becky's team is responsible for providing technical assistance to new and returning teen trendsetters and Barbara Bush Foundation-sponsored family literacy programs across the nation. Her career spans 35 years with significant experience in public school adult education, including service as an adult basic education teacher, a local adult education program director, and State Director of Adult Education in Maine. She served as a director of the Maine Family Literacy Initiative for the Barbara Bush Foundation for many years and has provided technical assistance to state adult education leaders on policy and career pathways. During her tenure at the Maine Department of Education, her team created the successful College Transition Network and work-ready programs for the state. Becky is the recipient of the Gerald N. Levasseur Award for Outstanding Leadership and the Rotary District 7780 Service Above Self Award. Becky earned her Bachelor's of Science from the State University of New York at Potsdam and earned her master's degree in Human Resources Development at the University of Southern Maine. A native of Maine, Becky and her husband Don live in Leamington, Maine. So without any further ado, Becky.
Hello. I knew I should have left my husband at home because when he said I'd been working for 35 years, my husband looked at me and said, "Are you that old?" So I have the best job in the world. With this particular job, I get to travel the country for the Barbara Bush Foundation and start new innovative programs, which I love doing because it allows me to see people, meet people, learn about things that are happening that I never would have had a chance to see. So the Barbara Bush Foundation, first of all, I want to tell you that we believe very strongly that literacy is a civil right. That's the basis of what we do. One of my favorite projects here in Maine is the Maine Literacy Connections Conference. We did that this last April, and we had a fabulous speaker, Craig Alexander, who's the vice president of TD Bank. And in his presentation, he showed us some slides that blew my socks off. He said that 5 in 10 Americans lack literacy skills. That's half of us lack the literacy skills to be successful in our lives. 6 in 10 of us lack math skills. So I was just really stunned by that. I've been in adult literacy my whole life, and I know that there are people out there who struggle with reading and math, but the number just really was impressive to me in a bad way. He also said, and I had to look on his YouTube video to make sure I got this right, he said that if there are business leaders in the room, you need to hear this, because you would see a 28% increase in your profits if your employees improved their math by 1 level. A 28% increase in your profits if your employees improved their math by 1 level. You could see a 24% increase in profits if your employees increased their literacy by 1 level, and a 21% increase if your employees increased their digital literacy by 1 level. I think that's pretty impressive. I mean, and for all of us to spread that word. We need to have everyone engaged in literacy, not just those of us like Ingrid and the volunteers in this room who are passionate about it, but we need to have business leaders, we need to have government leaders, we need to have everyone understanding that literacy is the most important thing for our country. That's why we believe that literacy is a civil right. And we don't just add that civil right to people who have been citizens in the U.S. forever, but we also include those who are immigrating to our country. So he said, Craig Alexander also said that raising literacy scores of those with poor and weak literacy skills by 1 level could create 8.5 million additional jobs in our economy. Now, this guy's the chief economist for TD Bank. He also said a 1% increase in literacy could boost the gross domestic product output by as much as $240 billion. So the work that the literacy volunteers are doing in Sanford is wonderful. Look at the impact you're making on the economy. So in my work in the Barbara Bush Foundation, we focus on 2 main programs. One is called Teen Trendsetters Reading Mentors. We match up high school and middle school teens
with first and second graders who are struggling in reading. They meet once a week for about 24 weeks with their little mentee, and we give them a curriculum called Brainstorm by Scholastic. It's learning reading through the sciences. So the first and second graders are starting with, excuse me, laryngitis is getting the better of me. They're starting with things like little critters, and then they work their way up to, thank you, wild weather, and then up to important scientists. So it's scaffolded, but we do first, second, and actually third grade students participate with that curriculum. We train the teen mentors. We're just about to launch our very first learning management system where we're going to train the mentors on reading strategies online. And we're going to train the program advisors online as well, because we have taken a program that had started in Florida with 129 programs. We have doubled that in the last year. We now have programs in Maine, Michigan, Texas, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. And this coming year, I'm traveling to Pennsylvania, Mississippi, Maryland, and South Texas to implement more programs. So when I go traveling around, and my husband's my best travel buddy here, we get to see programs like the Momentous Institute in Dallas. It's a private school in Dallas, the most phenomenal school I have ever seen in my life. Don and I both said that we could quit our jobs and just volunteer there. It was wonderful. They teach kids who have social emotional issues. They give them a glitter ball, one of those clear balls that you shake it up and the glitter swirls around. At very early age, like 3 years old, and some of them can't even speak English, they're teaching them amygdala, prefrontal cortex, and hippocampus, the parts of the brain. And some of these little kids, they struggle with the word, but they know. Any of you remember the B-I-N-G-O? We used to sing that song, B-I-N-G-O. Well, they do B-R-A-I-N in place. So they learn that their amygdala is where their emotions swirl, and when they're having these anger attacks or frustration, their emotions are swirling. So they teach them to shake up their glitter ball and hold it and watch the glitter settle as they practice deep breathing. And they're taking kids who have really struggled with emotional behavior issues in the classroom, and they're now really wonderful. I mean, they are self-monitored in the classroom. They participate in teams. They're doing phenomenal work and learning. They also have a practice of twice a day in their class, in their school. They, over the intercom, they ring the bell. Pencils go down, all kids practice deep breathing. Ding the bell again, pencils go up, and they all start working again, or they start working on whatever their project is. They've seen this impact in a group of second graders, I think it was, that went to the Dallas Zoo. And kids at the zoo, they're all really excited and they're running around being crazy, and all of a sudden a couple of the students said, our amygdalas are out of control, and they got their classmates to sit down and practice deep breathing with them until they could get under control again. So they're really practicing their self-regulation. This school we love this school. We've had them come twice now for 2 years in a row here to Maine to train our Maine teachers on how to implement some of the strategies that they use in their classrooms. One of the other things that we saw in that school was they have short little lockers, and the librarian takes a photocopy of the cover of the book that the child is reading, puts it in a plastic sleeve, and tapes it to the top of the child's locker, so that as they walk down through, their peers can see what it is they're reading and can ask questions about it. And she said the conversations going down the halls are phenomenal. So, those are just some of the things that we get to witness that are so phenomenal. Just recently, I was in South Texas, and I was hearing about some really creative, innovative educators who are trying to find ways for students to manage summer slide. So they are opening up their schools, their school libraries. They're providing internet. They've brought in some used furniture, and they're opening it up during the week for kids to come in and sit and use the internet and read in the school. Some of them are even opening it up on weekends so that parents can come in with the kids and use the internet and read together. So some of those activities are some of the things I get to see when I travel. But to get back to our Teen Trendsetters program, we have 19 of them going right now in Maine, and we hope to have another 5 that we're funding, so we'll be up to 24 of them, I believe, in this next year. What we're hearing from some of our programs here in Maine is that the teens are saying, oh, my grades have improved. I didn't realize that by teaching someone reading, I was improving my own reading skills. So they're remembering skills like pre-reading that some of us forget. You know, we get an assignment, we pick up the book, and we try to answer it without doing the pre-reading. They're relearning some of those skills, and it's improving their reading themselves. The first graders this last year, we have an evaluator from the University of Miami who evaluates all of our programs. We found that 52% of the first graders, and these elementary kids are starting 6 months behind in reading. 52% of them were reading on grade level at the end of the year. You think about the power of having that teen come in and make that child feel special. Spend an hour with that child. Sometimes they get through their curriculum in 40, 45 minutes. They spend the last 15 minutes making a Valentine for mom, or making a bookmark together, or doing something fun with the child. One class I saw did, the mentors hid when they came in, and the mentees, they played hide and seek. The mentees had to go find their mentor in the room before they could start their session, which is really engaging and fun. So we now have enough of those. We have some of those in Maine. I'm always looking to grow them, but because we are a 501c3, we're a public charity as well, I rely on our development team to go out and raise the money for us to implement programs. The other program that we have has always been near and dear to my heart, because you heard that I administered the Maine Family Literacy Initiative here in Maine. Well, family literacy is a program that I believe very strongly in. It's parents who are struggling readers getting help through literacy volunteers or an adult ed program to improve their own reading, but we also enroll their child in an early literacy program so that they're learning at the same time their parent is. And then if you think about the parent may be learning adjectives, and the power of learning adjectives, but then realizing that when you teach your child red, yellow, green, blue, you're teaching them adjectives. So that kind of integration of the curriculum is really important to us. And then we have this piece that ties the adult ed and the early childhood together that's called Family Together Time, where we teach the parents how to support their child's literacy development. We teach those parents how to interact with their child, and maybe it's in simple ways, like the parent may express frustration about dinner time. Dinner time's always chaotic because I can't get my child to settle down, and so we just go to McDonald's because it's easier. So we may give them the book Blueberries for Sal, and we may give them the ingredients for blueberry pancakes, and then give them some activities that they can do with their child around blueberry pancakes, like count the number of blueberries that we're putting in the pancake, or what else is blue in this room, or what other foods do you know that are blue? Those are the types of activities. We've had parents come back to us and say, mealtime at our house has become so much more controllable, and we're now eating at home and eating healthier. We also try to impact things like health literacy, because we know that there are a lot of parents out there who struggle with understanding doctor's orders, or reading the prescription bottles, or knowing that the emergency room isn't the first course of action. So we try to work around health literacy, similar to, I'm sure, what the literacy volunteer tutors are doing with some of their students. So we focus on those programs mostly. We also have the main conference that we've done. Seems like I'm missing some other things that we're doing. We're about to work on Mrs. Bush's story time. In 1992, I think it was, maybe 1990 to 1994, ABC Radio ran some segments of Mrs. Bush reading. And sometimes it was the characters like Big Bird or Miss Piggy reading with her. sometimes it was a celebrity. I know LeVar Burton read a couple of times, and I can't tell you who else, but those tapes have been in mothballs ever since. And we're trying to get the rights to those so that we can relaunch them and have everybody enjoy those stories again, read by the former First Lady. Again, it seems like I'm missing things. Oh, the big news that's coming up is that Mrs. Bush is turning 90. And that's my time up? No? Mrs. Bush is turning 90 on June 8th. And she has allowed us to use her birthday to celebrate literacy. And in Kennebunkport, and if you're smart, you'll stay away from Kennebunkport on that day, there will be about 500 people coming to celebrate her birthday. And these are some major donors. We are hoping to raise, and I think we've just crossed that threshold, $10 million to support literacy. Hopefully some of that will be used here in Maine, because we have had a few Maine donors. And I keep saying, this is where my heart is. No matter where I am, Maine is my heart. And I keep saying, if that money comes from a Maine donor, you better put it in the Maine coffers. So hopefully we'll be able to expand some programs using some of that money. Mrs. Bush is very sweet at 90 years old. At 90 years old, I'm not sure I'll get out of my own chair. But at 90 years old, she's going to allow us to use her birthday to raise money. We will have Reba McEntire is coming. Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant will all be there providing the entertainment. So one of the events will be a celebration of reading at the Agunga Playhouse. And we have 4 of our major authors who are our friends who are coming to read from their works. So we're very excited about this, and we'll all be very glad when it's done. So anyway, as I said, I have the best job in the world. I get to meet lots of wonderful people who are very impassioned about literacy, as I am. And yes, Dawn, I have been at this for 35 years. So thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Becky, and thank you for all your hard work in those 35 years. Next, I'd like to present the Literacy Supporter Award. So I'd like to ask Blaine Boudreau from SIS Bank to come and join me up front here. And we're very pleased to recognize SIS Bank with the Literacy Supporter Award for this year. They are truly a community bank helping to strengthen local people and programs through their businesses and donations. Their motto is the bank that listens, and they certainly have listened with care to our needs. The certificate reads, Literacy Volunteers of Greater Sanford names SIS Bank as the recipient of the Literacy Supporter Award in recognition of their exemplary and generous commitment to the literacy and community well-being. They've also participated in our trivia night, I think every year, and has actually won at least once, which is better than our record. So, so I'd really like to thank SIS for all they do. Thank you very much.
Next, we have a literacy activity. So I'd like to invite Carolyn to come forward, and we may get some other, let's see, get some supplies here. Uh-oh. Well, no, I think we'll be, let's worry about that. Okay, let's do this. So she's going to take us a moment.
So we're going to do just a quick little literacy thing. Learning should be fun, that's my motto. We're going to do a word ladder. If you haven't ever done a word ladder, it has some semblance of similarity to a crossword puzzle, but it's a little easier, actually. Word letters have certain skills that you might be practicing. Following directions, that's a biggie. Decoding, vocabulary, working on synonyms, definitions, and even spelling. So we're going to hand out, we're not going to do this whole one, we might do a whole one.
So is it one?
I don't know how you do this. 2 per table, is that right? Okay, I think maybe Ingrid wants to move along. So, the second one that you got, that started with spring, I don't know if you finished that. Was that easier than the first one? Isn't that interesting? I thought it was harder, actually, but I know a lot of people got stuck on that bring and take thingy. Yeah. Well, the second one. On the bottom you have spring, string, sting, sing, sling, slim, slime, slimmer, simmer, summer. It's summer, almost. Okay, that's the end of my gig. And the best part is every table gets a little treat. Share, boys and girls.
Okay. I'm here to present the Dennis Forrest Tutor Award. Dennis was a former tutor, and he passed away several years ago, and this is in his honor and memory. It's an award presented in his memory, in memory of an outstanding tutor at Literacy Volunteers of Greater Sanford. It is given when merited, and this year the recipient is Alicia Shorto, and she couldn't be with us tonight. She's traveling. Anita Daigle, who was the second recipient of this award, will accept in Alicia's absence. We recognize Alicia for her extraordinary dedication to adult literacy, her spiritual connection to the calling of being a tutor and serving others, and her sensitive compassion to make a positive difference in the lives of people in our community who seek to improve their literacy skills and their lives. And unfortunately, she's not here, but Anita is accepting on her behalf.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Sullivan, and I'm here this evening to present the Books and Blockbusters recognition. Just a little bit about Books and Blockbusters. Basically, as Ingrid described, it's a movie and book club that takes the idea that if you watch a movie first, and then you read together in the group the book that inspired the movie, then the images, the stories, the actors, everything visual about the movie acts as a wind at your back while you're reading the book, and it helps with the process of literacy. I actually came up with the idea because sometimes I would be reading a book that was, and I had seen the movie, and I would ask myself, would I be able to follow this or visualize it if I hadn't seen the movie first? So we started, about 3 years ago, and what have we've read? We've read, most recently, The Princess Bride, which was a fantastic and fun book. Hugo, and then we watched the Martin Scorsese movie. Huckleberry Finn. Yes. Arsenic and Old Lace. That was actually, not a screenplay, but a script. We read it, and then we actually went to go see the play. So it's not just about movies as well. We saw the play in Portland. And so it's been a fun and successful program. This summer we're going to do Maltese Falcon. So a little bit of intrigue and mystery. Yes. And this award, this recognition, is honoring Jerry Carlson. Jerry's not able to be with us this evening. I'll explain his story in a moment. But we are fortunate and blessed to be joined by his mom, Sharon, and his sister, Jen. Basically, Jerry has been with the Books and Blockbusters program since day one. And what makes him remarkable as one of our members, we have actually a lot of the people from the group here with us tonight. We have Bernice, We have Dennis, who last year we honored. We have Anita and Peter and Linda. So we have a few of us here tonight, and you all know Jerry. And what makes him remarkable is that he has kept being a faithful, dedicated, committed member of Books and Blockbusters through enormously trying times for himself personally. Jerry, for 3 years now, perhaps coincidentally identical to the time in which we've been meeting as Books and Blockbusters, has been battling cancer. And he's a young man. He'll be 31 in 2 weeks, May 29. And we wanted to honor him tonight because he attends Books and Blockbusters no matter what his circumstances, no matter how he's feeling or what he's currently going through, and he is going through a lot. And when he's able to make it, he shows up and we feel complete, don't we? Something's missing when Jerry's not able to make it. And when he walks through that door, it's true, when he walks through that door, it's a good feeling. And so I asked his mom, he loves movies, that's what brought him to. He's not affiliated with Literacy Volunteers in any way other than the fact that he must have read about the program somewhere and decided to show up.
At one time he was going to school.
Oh, okay.
A while back.
Right, and he loves movies and he loves to read.
Yeah.
And I asked what his favorite movie was, and it's just too many, right? Too many to mention. So you encouraged me to think of maybe some movies that he and I had talked about or seen together.
Don't get the guinea pig.
Yes. He also talks about his guinea pig Pepper.
No, that's my son's inspiration.
Oh, okay. Pepper.
I think that is actually what keeps him going.
Nice, the Pepper, a guinea pig. I saw a picture, he's really cute. And so you encouraged me to think of maybe some movies that Jerry and I had discussed or maybe even seen together. Does anybody know about the Way Back Wednesday series that they used to have at Smitty's? Basically, they would show a classic film every Wednesday night for free. And they were Jerry's movies. Jerry used to work at Smitty's, and he would lend them the movies, and they would show them for free. And prompted by you to think of what we had seen together, I had seen one of the Rocky movies with him.
Oh, Rocky, that's one of his favorites.
Exactly. And he has the spirit of Rocky, the boxer who, beats all the odds, works hard. He likes wrestling as well.
Oh, yes.
And so Jerry is a wonderful person. We wanted to honor him tonight, and we're so glad that you're here, that the two of you are here, and we have a certificate, because he's shown a lot of character, he's shown a lot of fight, a lot of determination, and he's already beaten many odds, and he'll continue to beat them because he's got that spirit, and we should all be very proud. And I'm going to present the certificate to you in a moment. We also have a nice gift, and I was just hoping that we could applaud Jerry, because he'll be seeing this on TV. He's going to read this. It says, "This award is proudly presented to Jerry Carlson, Jr., in recognition of his great commitment to and enthusiastic participation in Books and Blockbusters, setting a high standard for knowledge of movies and books. Congratulations."
Thank you.
So this is for you. We have a gift too. Wrapped for you. If you want to take it out,
Thank you, I appreciate it
Sure.
so much.
I can help you with that.
I just want to peek at it.
There you go. You want to take it out and show? There you go. That's a mug. That's by Helen Hadgeny. Yeah, get fired up. So that's a mug. And all sorts of good stuff in there. Okay.
He doesn't know this. I did not tell him I was coming here. He doesn't know about this. He knew he didn't want to come. And I said, I need to go to thank everybody for what you have done in his life. And now this is his passion, his movies and books. And that's what keeps him going too. Like I said, his cancer, it's never gonna go away. This is terminal. But each day he's here with us, that means more to me than anything.
It's a blessing. He's a great young man, and we're very glad that you came tonight, both of you. Thank you so much. And we have a number of students and tutors in attendance this evening, and I'll read their names. How would you applause? Wait until later. Okay, if we could wait until the final name for our applause, but here we go. We have Donna Anderson. Oh. Hi, Donna. Sally Ashworth. Okay. Helen Bauer. Bernice Chadwick. Hi. Bruce Kuchar. Anita Daigle. Bob Daney. Bob, okay. Marilyn Earl. David Eglinton. Is he here? Let's see. Edna Godin. Hi, Edna. Don Griffin. Yes, that's right. Hi, Don. Linda Galnack. Ruth Hammond. Lori Hyman. Cindy Jack. Penny Jakes. Peter Libby. Hey, Peter. See, Cindy Mikesell. Dennis Nato. Rebecca Page. Don Pelletier. Amy Reinholdson. Hello. Tony Squilaciotti.
Hi there.
How'd I do?
Very good. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Ann St. Cyr. Let's see. Pat Vertifay. Did I get that one right? Excellent, thank you. And Carolyn Woodward. All right, thank you very much. Students and tutors.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. That concludes the event, and we all appreciate all of your support you provide to us every year. Thank you.